My beloved child, you need to hear this now, not tomorrow, not later, but right now, because something that's been wrapped in silence, shielded from sight, and guarded in my presence is being revealed to you in this exact moment. What I have kept hidden wasn't forgotten, wasn't lost, and wasn't denied. It was protected. Protected from contamination, from theft, from sabotage, from the hands that would mishandle it and the voices that would speak death over it. I have kept it hidden not because I didn't want you to have it, but because I loved you too much to release it before it was safe to be given. This is the hour where what I've been forming in the dark will step into the light of your life, but you must be alert enough not to overlook it. I see how you've questioned, how you've wrestled in prayer wondering when your moment would come, how much longer you'd be waiting, if you somehow missed the door. But I tell you, child, the door has been opened by my hand and the surprise is no longer a promise in the distance. It's standing at the threshold of your now. Do not blink, do not back away. Do not let doubt cause you to hesitate. There is something with your name on it, prepared in heaven, sealed with my love, and stamped with my purpose. You are not imagining this shift you feel. It is the sound of what I've hidden being uncovered. The reason you couldn't find it before is because it was not yet the season to carry. But this is the appointed time, and this unveiling is not ordinary. It is holy. It is strategic. It is urgent. I did not send this message for you to casually scroll past or delay in pondering. I need you to pause everything else and lean in. What's coming forth has the weight of destiny on it. You didn't wait in vain. You didn't believe for nothing. I have come now, and I've come with what you were made for. Others will say it appeared suddenly, but you will know it was me all along, preparing the exact thing your soul has cried out for, shielding it beneath layers of divine secrecy until now. I'm not holding it back anymore. The moment you open your hands and say, "I'm ready, Lord," you will feel the rush of what's been waiting to reach you. So I say again, don't miss this moment. What's been hidden is about to become your reality. Are you listening? I need you to understand the weight of this moment. What's arriving in your life wasn't selected at random or tossed your way out of convenience. No, this is a personal, handcrafted move straight from my throne, designed specifically for the shape of your wounds, the rhythm of your prayers, and the stretch of your destiny. Every detail within this breakthrough has been aligned with precision. Not one part of it is accidental. What's coming has been shaped by my own hands, fitted around the cracks of your disappointments, and tailored to your growth, not your comfort. I didn't just consider your hopes. I studied your scars. I didn't only respond to what you asked, I responded to what you couldn't even articulate. While you were navigating silence, confusion, and long nights that made you question your worth, I was organizing a delivery that could only be understood once it touched your hands. It had to take time because what I'm sending needed to match the depth of what you've endured. There are layers within this gift that only make sense when placed in the context of what tried to break you. And I know how often you thought you were being ignored, how often it felt like others were being chosen while you were forgotten in the corner of faith. But child, I wasn't just watching, I was writing. I wasn't just observing, I was orchestrating. And now, the orchestration is complete, the delivery is in motion, and the unveiling has begun. You will notice that this surprise won't look like someone else's testimony. That's because this is a manifestation that's exclusive to your design. It's a blessing wrapped in your language. It's not just something to receive, it's something that proves I've been with you through every unseen moment. And this is important. Don't compare it. Don't dilute it by measuring it against what I've done for others. I'm not giving you leftovers. I'm releasing a new thing that has never existed before, a demonstration of my creativity and care, forged in the furnace of your waiting. And the reason it's arriving now, the reason it couldn't have come a day earlier, is because the version of you who will open it today is finally able to steward it with humility, wisdom, and strength. I didn't just prepare the blessing, I prepared you. I didn't just wait until it was ready, I waited until you were mature enough to carry it without being crushed by it. And now, here it is, stretching out its hand toward you like a long-lost promise that finally found its way home. I won't let it pass you by. I won't allow it to fall into the wrong hands. I'm standing between you and the delivery, urging you to reach out with your faith, to grab what's yours without hesitation or fear. This is not a drill. This is not a rehearsal. This is not a test. This is your moment, written in eternal ink, marked by divine appointment, and confirmed by the tug in your spirit that says, "This is what I've been waiting for." Let that tug lead you, not your past. Let your spirit respond, not your wounds. You are standing in the exact place where fulfillment meets obedience, where hope finally touches evidence. And it's not vague. It's not distant. It's here. Right here. Right now. Are you ready to walk into it? The ache you've carried, the quiet ache, I've seen it buried beneath your strength, tucked behind your resilience, camouflaged in your laughter. You've been convincing yourself to keep going, even as unanswered hopes whispered lies to your heart. I know how many times you've stared at ceilings, wondering if I still remembered what you whispered in those sacred, vulnerable prayers. Let me assure you, I didn't lose track. I never misplaced a single longing. But what I've been constructing in the hidden chambers of heaven far surpasses what you initially asked for. I was never ignoring your voice. I was expanding the outcome. I didn't rush to fulfill your first request because I knew that if I responded prematurely, you would settle for a partial promise. You would have clutched a lesser version of what I envisioned for you. So instead of giving in to your impatience, I leaned into my divine intelligence, and while you were busy surviving, I was developing something so layered, so purposeful, so perfectly timed, it required a holy delay. I knew that if you trusted me through the silence, I could deliver more than what you imagined, not just what you wanted, but what you were created for. You see, your desire was a spark, but my plan is a fire. You thought you needed one door to open. I was designing an entirely new hallway. You assumed restoration would come through familiar channels. I rerouted the flow so that what reaches you would be undeniable in its origin. It won't come through connections, contacts, or cleverness. It will come through me, in a way that stops you in your tracks and makes your spirit weep, not from sadness, but from the overwhelming realization that I never left you, that I never dismissed your yearning. I was simply busy shaping a surprise worthy of the storm you walked through. And let me be clear, nothing that tried to block your breakthrough succeeded. Not a single lie, delay, betrayal, or failure had the power to erase what I was building. They may have slowed your steps, but they couldn't touch my blueprint. And now, that greater answer, the one far beyond the outline of your prayers, is approaching you like a sunrise you can't stop. It's not just about something changing around you, it's about something activating within you. The reason it took longer than expected is because it carries a weight that not only blesses, but transforms. This next release is not a thing. It's an unveiling of who you really are in me. And you won't have to beg for it. You won't have to strive. It's not dependent on your performance. It's flowing from my pleasure. You didn't earn this, you were chosen for it. And while others ran ahead with seemingly quick success, you sat with me in the slow furnace of refinement. That waiting season wasn't punishment. It was a forge. You were tempered, fortified, stripped of what would have weakened you under the weight of your next level. And now you're here, standing on the edge of something you didn't even know how to ask for. The deeper fulfillment, the richer reward, the real thing, the greater answer. So don't dismiss the unexpected. Don't resist the unfamiliar path. The shift is already happening, and what's coming will not need your explanation. It will speak for itself, loudly, boldly, undeniably. And all I'm asking of you is this: don't run from it when it knocks. Don't let fear confuse the magnitude of what's arriving. I heard every word. I've seen every sigh. And this is the moment where your unseen cries begin to take form. Get ready. It's nothing like what you pictured. It's better. Don't underestimate the power of your pain. Not one drop of sorrow fell unnoticed. Not one cry went unheard. Those moments when you wept quietly, when your heart felt heavy beneath burdens you couldn't explain to anyone else, I was watching with intent. Not from afar, but close, closer than your own breath. You thought you were breaking down, but I was watching something rise within you. The very sorrow you wanted me to remove was saturating the soil of your destiny, making it rich enough to carry something sacred. Each painful memory didn't push your blessing away. It pulled it closer. Because when I allow pressure, it's never without purpose. When you were on your knees, overwhelmed and exhausted, you were releasing something deeper than words. You were interceding for a future you couldn't see yet. I caught it all, not just the visible pain, but the silent aching, the disappointment behind your smile, the prayers that began with, "God, I don't even know what to say anymore." You didn't know it then. But while you wept, I was whispering to the roots. I was commanding the seeds in the hidden ground of your purpose to absorb the moisture of your tears. Those weren't wasted emotions. They were holy fertilizer. I let nothing be meaningless. While others rushed ahead chasing what looked like quick success, you remained in what felt like obscurity. But a hidden doesn't mean forgotten. It means protected. It means I was working beneath the surface. And now, as the season shifts, those very tears are the reason what's growing will be stronger, deeper, and more unshakable than anything around it. Your roots don't just touch the surface, they go far beneath. You've endured too much to break now. You've gone too deep to be moved by temporary winds. And here's what's important. When the bloom comes, and it's coming, it won't look like anything forced or rushed. It will emerge slowly but boldly. It will carry beauty shaped by process, not pretense. You won't need to prove it's real. It will speak life to everyone who sees it. Some may not understand how you reached this level, but that's because they didn't witness the rain. They didn't see the nights you kept trusting when it looked like nothing was changing. They weren't there when you chose to believe me instead of bitterness. They didn't feel the wrestle of holding on when everything in you said let go. But I was there. I was with you every second. And I wasn't just comforting you. I was cultivating. While you reached for relief, I was expanding your capacity. While you asked for escape, I was anchoring your spirit. And now, child, that hidden garden of your obedience is about to burst open. The fragrance of your bloom will shift atmospheres. It will be the evidence that I never forget the weeping ones. Your life will carry the scent of someone who endured storms and came out sweeter, not colder. Others will wonder why favor seems to follow you, but they'll never understand that favor found you through fire. And this part is critical. Don't hide what blooms. Don't shrink the beauty to make others comfortable. I didn't plant this miracle in you so it could be buried again under shame or fear. Let the radiance of what's blossoming shine fully. Let it be bright. Let it be visible. Let it point directly back to me. Because this isn't just your harvest. It's a signpost of what I do with brokenness. I make gardens from grief. I create wonder from wounds. I turn mourning into manifestation. And it's your time to walk in it. So lift your eyes. Wipe your face. Your bloom isn't coming, it has begun. Before you even knew what to ask, I was already refining what you'd one day receive. But you needed to grow into the strength to sustain it. I couldn't release the fullness of what I ordained until your hands, mind, and spirit were ready to steward it with wisdom and courage. What felt like denial was actually my dedication to your development. I didn't withhold the promise. I prolonged the process so it wouldn't collapse under unprepared hands. If I had allowed it to reach you too early, the weight of it would have crushed rather than lifted you. I loved you too much to let your gift arrive unfinished or your character arrive unformed. So instead of immediate answers, I gave you opportunities to stretch. I placed you in moments where faith had to be chosen again and again, not because I needed proof of your loyalty, but because I was fortifying your capacity to handle what was still hidden from view. Maturity doesn't form through comfort, it is born through tension. I shape you in silence. I tested your patience not to punish your hope but to anchor it. Because what's coming will demand rootedness, not just excitement. I needed to strip away what was impulsive, reactive, and impatient, so that when I delivered this next level, it wouldn't be temporary, it would be sustained. You prayed for open doors, but I first had to make sure you'd walk through them without self-sabotage. You wanted elevation, but I knew you'd need endurance. And now, the delay has done its work. You're not the same person you were when you first believed. You've been sharpened by waiting, tempered by tears, touched by trust. And all of it, every moment that made you question my timing, has brought you here, to this divine threshold where your preparation and my provision are about to collide. What's being released is not random blessing, it's exact. It fits the person you've become. It mirrors the resilience you've cultivated in the unseen. And because of that, it will not slip through your fingers. You won't mishandle what I'm handing you next. You've learned how to wait without resentment, how to listen without demanding, how to walk without seeing. These aren't small lessons, these are foundations. I let the delay build them strong. And now, what once seemed like me withholding was really me working. I wasn't pacing around heaven hoping you'd get it together. I was beside you, shaping every fiber of your inner life so that when fulfillment arrived, it wouldn't feel foreign. You'd recognize it. You'd be able to walk in it. And you wouldn't need to look back wondering if it was too much, too soon. Because it won't be. It will be right on time, right in tune, right in alignment with who you are now, not who you used to be. And when people look at the change in your life, they'll think it happened overnight. But you'll know the truth. You'll remember the nights you fought to keep believing. You'll recall the seasons where you almost gave up but whispered yes one more time. That's what shaped you. That's why this gift won't just sit in your lap. It will grow under your leadership. It will thrive because you've been trained in the trenches. This was never about punishment. It was always about positioning. So now, when it comes, don't shrink back. Don't question whether you deserve it. Step into it fully. Because what took longer didn't lose value, it gained precision. And now it's yours to walk in, not with fear, but with peace. You've experienced the sting of loss, not just in material things, but in trust, confidence, relationships, and time. You felt the sharp edges of betrayal, the crushing weight of being overlooked, the slow erosion of joy through people who drained more than they ever poured. I saw when they used you, when they lied about you, when they drained your energy and left without a trace of apology. I was there when doors closed unexpectedly, when support turned silent, and when those you trusted chose convenience over loyalty. But I need you to hear me. What I'm about to place in your life is beyond the reach of manipulation. No hand will be able to touch what I have assigned to you. No voice will be loud enough to block it. No action from another soul can cancel what I've authorized. This next outpouring is secured by my authority, guarded by heaven, and sealed by my promise. It is not up for debate, negotiation, or retraction. I watched as others snatched opportunities from you, but this one is not transferable. I've set it aside. I've protected it from decay. And now it's arriving. Not delayed, not diminished, but delivered exactly as designed. The pain others caused didn't derail your future. It created space for something incorruptible. You don't have to fear a repeat of the past. It's time. There is no loophole for loss. This time, the blessing comes with boundaries, divinely enforced. This time, what's planted in your life will grow without interruption from sabotage. I know you're cautious now, even hesitant to hope too hard, because of how often joy was followed by disappointment. But I'm not asking you to rely on your past patterns. I'm inviting you to trust my protection. What I'm doing now cannot be undone by betrayal. It would evaporate in the presence of envy. It won't shift based on public opinion or private agendas. I am establishing you, not temporarily but securely. And I'm not just giving you something to hold. I'm giving you something that holds you. This isn't fragile favor. This is fortified grace. It's the kind that stays steady in storms. The kind that doesn't panic under pressure. The kind that won't need constant defending because it was birthed from my decree, not human approval. And let me remind you, what people took from you was never yours to begin with. If it could be snatched, it wasn't sent. If it left easily, it wasn't anchored in me. But what I'm about to release into your life has roots. Deep, unshakable roots. You won't have to keep checking if it's still there. You won't wake up fearing it'll vanish like all the other moments that slipped through your fingers. Because I'm not just restoring, I'm upgrading. I'm giving you what no one can explain, and even fewer will understand. And you don't need to explain yourself either. Let the fruit speak. Let the consistency silence the critics. Let the evidence stand in rooms your words never could. This time, your increase will outlast their assumptions. This time, the elevation won't ask for permission. It's coming, and it's coming fast. Not to repeat your pain, but to redefine your path. Don't brace for heartbreak. Prepare for fulfillment. Don't shrink in anticipation of sabotage. Stand in expectation of permanence. Because I'm not doing a temporary fix, I'm unveiling something built to last. And even if the same people who wounded you try to come near again, they won't have the power to interfere. I've drawn a line they can't cross. I've set angels on assignment around what's yours. You are entering a season where what's released to you will remain. Not because of your ability to keep it, but because of my commitment to sustain it. There's a reason things didn't ease up when you begged for relief. The intensity wasn't punishment, it was preparation. You weren't being crushed for no purpose. The weight that seemed unfair was actually fortifying you for dimensions you couldn't comprehend yet. Every moment that stretched you beyond what you thought you could endure was working like holy resistance training, strengthening muscles in your spirit you didn't know you had. The strain built endurance. The tension shaped resilience. The days you held on by a thread were actually establishing anchors within your soul. While others were gliding in ease, you were being trained in the furnace of adversity. You didn't just survive hardship, you were being sculpted by it. I allowed the pressure not because I wanted you to collapse, but because I needed you to be unshakable for what's coming. You've been asking me for more, and I've heard every cry. But greater doors require greater stability, and I wasn't going to elevate you into something that your foundation couldn't support. So I permitted the struggle to stretch your core. And while it looked like everything around you was pressing in, it was actually me enlarging your inner capacity. You needed more than enthusiasm. You needed durability. You needed the kind of faith that doesn't flinch under heat. The kind of trust that doesn't dissolve under delay. And now you have it. You're no longer fragile. You become firm. And I want you to look at yourself with new eyes. This pressure didn't leave you broken. It made you battle-tested. The very moments you resented are now the reason you can carry what others would buckle under. And this is why it had to happen this way. Because what I'm placing in your care will attract attention, both seen and unseen. If I released it before you were ready, you might have mistaken the platform for validation. But now you know better. Now you understand that my approval is all that matters, and no amount of clapping or criticizing can sway the anchor I've embedded within you. The pressure revealed what was fake and strengthened what was true. It cleared out the need for applause and deepened your intimacy with my voice. So don't despise what built you. Don't curse the process that carved out the new version of you. What you've walked through gave you spiritual muscle, not the kind that shows on the surface, but the kind that doesn't waver when the unexpected hits. And soon, you'll see why it was necessary. What's approaching will stretch even further, but this time, you'll be ready. You won't be knocked over. You won't need to retreat. You'll stand steady, not because everything is perfect, but because you know who called you. And when others wonder how you stay calm in chaos, you'll remember the fire you were forged in. The pressure wasn't a setback, it was a sign of the weight of your assignment. I don't waste struggle. I don't prolong pain without purpose. And what felt like repeated resistance was me making sure nothing shallow remained in you. I allowed what was light to be stripped away so what's heavy in my glory could rest upon you. You'll no longer carry unnecessary burdens, because the pressure forced you to release them. You'll no longer bend under small matters, because the stretching trained you for larger ones. And even now, the strength I've developed in you is becoming visible. It's in your decisions. It's in your stillness. It's in how you no longer react out of fear. That's proof the pressure worked. You were never being destroyed. You were being equipped. So walk forward boldly. You've been shaped for more, and now more is coming. And this time, you'll be able to hold it without it breaking you. I want you to know that not a single moment of your faithfulness went unnoticed. Even in seasons where progress felt invisible and outcomes remained unchanged, your devotion echoed louder than your circumstances. You didn't see the results you prayed for, but you still whispered your trust. You showed up with a surrendered heart even when your reality gave you no logical reason to hope. That silent persistence, the kind that no one applauded, that didn't trend or get recognized, it pierced through the noise of this world and reached my heart. I didn't need you to be perfect. I only needed you to remain, and you did. When others abandoned their post at the first sign of pressure, you chose to hold the line. When they looked for shortcuts, you stayed in the long road of obedience. I saw when you continued to give, even when you were barely holding it together. I saw when you poured encouragement into others while your own soul was aching. I saw when you worshiped through weary lips, when you lifted your voice while your arms trembled from unseen battles. You believed even when belief felt like a burden, and that alone became your offering. Your loyalty, though quiet, moved heaven. While others questioned if you were wasting your time, I was counting every act of surrender like a precious treasure. This is what separates you. You didn't just seek me in success. You sought me in confusion. You didn't just praise when things were good. You praised when things made no sense at all. And that posture, that unwavering alignment, has written your name into a storyline of divine reward that can no longer be delayed. I've watched you stand when sitting in despair would have been easier. I've watched you forgive when holding a grudge would have felt justified. I've watched you walk in integrity when compromise would have gained faster results. And I want you to know, not a single part of it was in vain. What the world called weakness, I call strength. What they ignored, I've memorialized. You didn't quit. You didn't break under the weight of disappointment. You didn't allow bitterness to rot your heart. And because of that, the foundation beneath you is now unshakable. It was never about appearing successful. It was about becoming immovable in me. That's exactly what has happened. The consistency of your devotion has created a path that I myself am walking on to reach you. You thought I was distant because your requests went unanswered, but I was standing close, not because I was waiting for you to get stronger, but because I was watching you become more like me. When others fell away, I saw you tighten your grip on faith. When confusion raged, I saw you lean harder into my word. You didn't need signs to stay grounded. You trusted based on my nature, not your emotions. That's maturity. That's substance. And that's what I've been building in you all along. And now, I come with this truth. Your faithfulness has activated a response from me that cannot be intercepted. You didn't live for results. You lived for me. And now, I will show you what I do for those who stay when it would have been easier to run. Doors are about to open not because you pushed, but because you remained. Windows are about to pour out favor, not because you earned it, but because you didn't abandon the process. I'm not showing up because you begged. I'm showing up because you believe. And not once did I stop watching. I never turned away. I never disengaged from your journey. Even when it felt like silence, I was fully involved. Even when it seemed like your cries were falling flat, I was collecting everyone. And today, as this new season begins to break open, you'll finally understand that your quiet loyalty was the key to more than just survival. It's been the path to transformation. It's time you realized that my stillness wasn't absence. It was activity you weren't meant to see yet. You assumed my quiet meant disengagement, but in truth, I was fully immersed in every detail of what's now on its way to you. I wasn't ignoring your cries. I was meticulously preparing the manifestation. And sometimes, the sacred process requires silence. There are moments in heaven where things must be wrapped in secrecy before they're revealed in glory. I wasn't speaking loudly because I didn't want interference from voices that would have distorted your expectation. I chose to say nothing, not because I had nothing to say, but because the delivery was more important than the explanation. You asked me for clarity, but instead I gave you trust-building silence. You asked for signs, but instead I gave you the chance to hold on with no evidence. Because what I was assembling behind the veil was so unique, so personalized, it couldn't be rushed. Just like a carefully crafted letter sealed in wax, I've been handling the finishing touches of what's coming. You imagined I was distant while you endured delay, but in truth, I was closer than ever, breathing over the blueprints of your blessing, ensuring every piece arrived in proper alignment. And the silence wasn't wasted. It taught you to hear me beyond noise. It trained your spirit to recognize my presence even without words. You learned to walk with me without needing constant affirmation. That kind of faith doesn't just appear. It's shaped in quiet chambers. Now you will see why the delay was necessary. Because what's about to enter your life couldn't be pieced together through shortcuts or convenience. I was folding it with my own hands, wrapping your miracle with layers of intention. Every corner tucked with purpose. Every ribbon tied with precision. There were details I had to get just right so that when it arrives, it doesn't just bless you, it identifies you. It speaks your name in a way only I could have known. It reminds you that I didn't just hear you, I understood the depth of what you didn't say. And while the silence was stretching your endurance, it was also creating anticipation. The quiet built hunger. The wait produced readiness. You may not have felt it then, but you were becoming more able to receive what's now on the verge of release. And here's what I want you to remember. When I speak again, it will sound like a whisper. It will thunder through your reality. It won't just touch one area of your life. It will flood everything. Relationships, resources, revelation, restoration. All of it is part of the gift I've wrapped in secrecy until now. And you'll notice something when it begins to unfold. It fits. It will fit your journey. It will match your calling. It will align with every lesson you've learned in the dark. Nothing will feel forced. Nothing will seem foreign. Because this isn't a random blessing. This is the response to the cries you thought were forgotten. The days you questioned if I was listening were the very days I was preparing the final touches. You kept going without confirmation, and for that, I've chosen to reward you with clarity that silences every doubt. So when the package arrives, when the breakthrough steps into your life clothed in completion, don't act surprised. You've been sensing it. You've been preparing for it in your spirit. This isn't what all the quiet was for. This is what I've been doing while you waited. I was wrapping something that only you could carry, and it's now ready to be delivered. What you perceived as a delay was actually a countdown. Every hour that passed without an answer was part of a design that you couldn't yet understand. I wasn't stalling. I was synchronizing. While you were measuring time by seconds and days, I was aligning seasons, people, environments, and even your internal maturity, so the moment of release wouldn't just feel like a breakthrough, it would be the beginning of sustained transformation. You were looking at the calendar, wondering when it would finally happen. I was looking at eternity, ensuring that when it did, nothing could shake it loose. I needed to wait until every hidden detail matched the weight of what I promised. I don't operate in panic. I don't respond to pressure. I move when the full picture is ready, not just when the request is loud. And now, it is. The alignment is complete. The shift has already begun. Today isn't just another date. It's a turning point written into your destiny long before you ever felt the need for change. You're not late. You're not early. You are arriving into this moment exactly when I intended, and nothing in your past was wasted on the way here. The doors that slammed were part of the redirection. The prayers that seemed ignored were part of the refinement. The silence wasn't abandonment. It was me adjusting the gears of time so that when you stepped into this moment, you would not only be positioned, but empowered. I am not just answering your plea. I am launching you forward with a purpose that has been guarded until now. And I need you to understand something critical. This is not a temporary high. This is not an emotional lift. This is a divine activation, a shift in realms, a release of what had been withheld not from cruelty, but from wisdom. If I had released it earlier, it would have fallen into soil that wasn't yet fertile. Your heart wasn't ready then. The people around you weren't prepared. The doors you thought you needed would have collapsed under the pressure of what you were about to receive. But now the foundation is firm. Now the roots have grown deep. Now your eyes are clear enough to see me, even if the process doesn't look exactly like you imagined. And so, I say to you, this day has been marked. Before you felt the weight of longing, before you asked me for change, before you were even formed in the womb, I had this moment written into your story. I don't work with random outcomes. I fulfill divine sequences. What seemed like detours were parts of the route I had already charted. Your obedience, your tears, your faith in the absence of evidence, all of it has brought you here. And this now moment will not slip past you. You don't have to strive for it. You don't have to convince me to send it. It's already been dispatched. What's on the way will confirm everything I've whispered to your soul in private. You'll see it not just with your physical eyes, but in the atmosphere that starts shifting around you. People will sense the change. Opportunities will begin to move. Doors will unlock without force. Because it's time. Not by accident. Not out of pity. But because the strategic timing of heaven has aligned with your readiness on earth. So lean in. Expect boldly. Walk forward as one who knows they are standing in a divine appointment. This moment will require your striving. It will only require your trust. Because today is not ordinary. It is the day I've been waiting to reveal what I've been carefully holding for you. And it starts now. There's more happening in this divine release than meets the eye. This isn't only about you smiling again or finally seeing what you've longed for. It's about the undeniable statement I'm making through you. What I'm bringing into your life now isn't just a reward. It's a demonstration. I'm using your story as a classroom. Those who watched you struggle, those who mocked your hope, those who questioned your decision to keep following me when everything looked like a contradiction, they are about to witness a manifestation that speaks louder than anything you could ever explain. You don't have to justify why you held on. You won't need to argue or prove yourself. What I'm placing in your life will speak on your behalf. It will be undeniable. What I'm doing in you will teach without you lifting a single word in defense. I am turning your life into a living illustration of what it looks like to trust in the dark and receive in the light. And yes, you will rejoice, deeply, freely, and fully. But know this, the joy is only part of it. The full purpose of what's coming also includes revelation for those around you. Your transformation will trigger recognition in others. Those who discredited you, the ones who said you missed it, who thought your wait was foolish, they are going to be silenced not by shame, but by wonder. It won't be humiliation. It will be conviction. I'm not here to embarrass. I'm here to awaken. Some of the very people who dismissed your assignment will soon draw near again, not to ridicule but to learn. They'll see what I can do with someone who doesn't quit when the process gets hard. You were consistent when no one celebrated it. You stayed in position when it seemed pointless. You honored me behind closed doors, and now I will honor you in public. This is the kind of surprise that transforms atmospheres. It changes how people see me, how they interpret faith, how they measure time. Your life is becoming a message. One that says, This is what happens when you don't let go, even when everything gives you a reason to. And I need you to carry this well. Not with pride, not with arrogance, but with the quiet confidence of someone who knows they've been chosen for something more than personal fulfillment. You're becoming a vessel, a mirror, a signpost. I'm letting others witness your redemption so they can remember their own calling. Your restoration will ripple into the hearts of those who have been wandering, reminding them that I'm still faithful even when they've been unfaithful. They won't just celebrate you, they'll remember me. They'll see my fingerprints all over your life and realize that no detour is permanent, no failure too final, no delay too long. I'm writing something in you that will outlive the moment of blessing. And that's why it had to be this way. That's why I didn't allow you to take shortcuts or manipulate the outcome. Because if you had reached this point through your own strength, they would have praised you. But now, the only explanation will be me. Your story is about to shift the atmosphere in places you don't even realize you're influencing. So carry this surprise like a sacred seed, not something to show off, but something to steward. It has weight. It has purpose. It's more than favor. It's a signal. A divine message wrapped in your testimony. And when it all unfolds, you won't need to raise your voice. My goodness through you will say everything. You've spent so long pursuing answers, searching for doors, chasing opportunities, and trying to make sense of what felt like delay after delay. I saw the way you ran after clarity, how you poured out your strength and effort after effort, hoping the next step would finally open something. You invested energy into relationships, projects, paths, thinking if you could just keep pushing, you'd eventually unlock what you were promised. But I never intended for you to live in constant striving. You weren't created to run in circles or operate from exhaustion. What I placed in your spirit wasn't designed to be obtained by force. It was always meant to be received by alignment. And now, the striving season is over. This time, it's not about your effort meeting the outcome. It's about what I've appointed catching up to you. What once seemed distant is now gaining momentum. The blessing that felt out of reach is no longer waiting for you to chase it down. It's accelerating in your direction. I flipped the flow. You're not behind. You're not too late. You're exactly where you need to be for what I've commanded to find you. And it will find you, not because of your perfection, but because of my intention. This shift you're stepping into isn't about doing more. It's about trusting deeper. It's about resting in the truth that I have not only heard your prayers, but have released what you couldn't force into existence. I'm bringing it to you in a way that removes pressure and replaces it with peace. What's on the way won't need your manipulation or strategy. It will arrive simply because it's time. And when it shows up, it won't ask for you to perform. It will recognize you. It will settle into your life like something that always belonged. I've orchestrated this shift with such precision that you'll find yourself walking into divine encounters you didn't even plan for. Conversations will happen that seem random but are really routes I've designed. People you've never met will suddenly carry keys to places you didn't know were next. And doors that were locked despite all your knocking, will now swing open without you lifting a hand. Because I don't need your hustle. I need your surrender. I don't need your panic. I need your posture. You've tried long enough to open things in your own strength, and I know it wore you down. I know the trying became tiring. But now, let me carry it. Let me show you what it means to walk in divine rhythm instead of reactive striving. The answer is not somewhere out there. It's already on its way to you. It's been searching for you as much as you've been searching for it. And now, the connection is being made. This is the season where movement comes without pressure, where advancement doesn't require burnout. You're about to see what it feels like to stand still and still receive. To stop running and still gain ground. Because I've commanded what belongs to you to find you, and it's coming without delay. You've chased long enough. Now let it find you. Let it arrive as a testament to the fact that I never needed your striving to fulfill my word. I only needed your heart to stay open long enough for the promise to meet its moment. And this right now, is that moment. What's coming will cause many around you to pause, to question, even to whisper in awe and confusion, because they won't understand how so much could change for you so suddenly. They'll see the shift, but they won't have the context. They'll notice the increase, the open doors, the favor rising around you, but they won't know the tears you cried, the nights you stayed up praying, or the moments you held on when everything in you said let go. While it may look like a sudden elevation to others, you'll know it wasn't quick, it was quiet. You'll know that the miracle did appear out of nowhere. It came through deep roots that nobody saw growing in the hidden seasons. They may call it luck, but you'll know it was labor. Labor in faith, labor in waiting, labor in silence. And while others are shocked, you'll be steady. You'll be grounded. Not proud but prepared. Not shaken but strong. Because I've been building this in you for a long time. The time you spent misunderstood wasn't just a test of your patience, it was training for your positioning. The moments you had to choose forgiveness over revenge, silence over defense, peace over proving yourself, all of that was preparation for this unveiling. You see, I never wanted to just hand you the blessing. I wanted to shape you into the kind of vessel who could carry it without it crushing you. So while others were gaining quickly and falling just as fast, I was growing you slowly and deeply, ensuring that when this moment arrived, your character would match your calling. You're not being promoted by surprise. You're being revealed after refinement. You've been through the process. You've walked through fires that burned off what didn't belong. You've endured seasons that humbled you in ways only I fully understand. And now, when the fulfillment enters your hands, you'll know exactly what to do with it. You won't misuse it to prove a point. You will flaunt it to gain applause. You'll handle it with reverence, knowing it's not just about the reward, it's about the responsibility. This is why I let you walk through obscurity. This is why I allowed doors to stay closed when you were ready to rush through them. Because you weren't meant to arrive unprepared. And you aren't. You've been equipped in places nobody applauded. You've been trained in the lonely quarters of obedience. And that's what makes you dangerous to the enemy now. Not your platform, not your status, but your preparation. You know how to stay humble with power. You know how to remain grateful without performance. You know how to keep your eyes on me, even when the spotlight tries to distract you. So while others will be amazed, you'll be aligned. You'll walk in this season with a calm strength that confuses those who expected you to stumble. They may wonder how you carry so much with such grace, but you will know, it's because I've been carrying you all along. This blessing isn't here to inflate your image. It's here to fulfill my promise. It's not for your ego, it's for my glory. And you'll reflect it well. You'll move forward without needing validation, because you've already been affirmed in the secret place. You'll step into rooms you once only dreamed of, not with arrogance, but with authority, the kind that comes from having walked with me in the wilderness. So don't shrink back when it arrives. Don't second guess whether you're worthy of this moment. You are not here by accident. You were prepared for this, molded for this, and trusted with this. And now, when I release it, you won't just be holding a promise. You'll be stepping into your proof. The wait was long, the process was painful, but the readiness is undeniable. You're not shocked. You're steady. You're not overwhelmed. You're anointed. And this is only the beginning of what I've planned through you. What's about to unfold in your life is not a prize for endurance, not a trophy for surviving hardship, and certainly not a payment earned through performance. It's the unveiling of my heart toward you. I'm not responding to your worthiness. I'm expressing my affection. What you're receiving isn't about proving anything to the world or even to yourself. It's me showing you how intimately I've been involved all along. This release is the manifestation of my care, not just for your needs, but for your identity. I've seen every part of you, the fears you never voiced, the hopes you kept hidden, the dreams you thought had expired, and I've loved you through all of it, without change, without condition. And now, The breakthrough you're stepping into will reflect that love in ways that don't just change your situation. They'll change how you see yourself. I'm not giving you this because you finally got everything right. I'm giving this because I never stopped calling you mine. Even when you doubted me, even when you ran out of strength, even when you felt like giving up on what you once believed I would do, I didn't turn away. I didn't grow tired of your questions. I didn't flinch when your prayers grew quiet. I stayed, and I kept shaping this moment so that when it arrived, you wouldn't just meet your circumstances, it would speak to your heart. You thought I was preparing something for your life, but I was also preparing something for your soul. This breakthrough will carry the language of love, not just logic. It will reach the places inside of you that have felt unseen, unknown, uncared for. And as it unfolds, you'll realize I haven't just been watching your journey from above. I've been walking beside you, matching your pace, listening to your unspoken thoughts, waiting for the perfect time to whisper, "Here it is. This is for you." Others might interpret what's coming as success or elevation, but you'll recognize it for what it really is: personal, tender, specific. Not general favor, but precise compassion. Not mass-produced blessing, but handcrafted intimacy. This is the kind of shift that makes you exhale and finally believe you were never invisible to me. You'll see it in the details, in the timing, in the way it arrives, in how it touches areas you didn't even include in your prayers. Because I've never been after just your outer world. I've been after your healing, your peace, your wholeness. I've wanted you to know me not as a distant king who grants requests, but as a father who knows your heart better than you do. That's what this breakthrough is revealing. It's not just that I'm able, it's that I'm invested. I'm intentional. I'm tender in ways that only someone who loves you completely can be. And yes, this shift will come with provision, opportunity, and even recognition. But more than that, it will come with clarity, the clarity that you are fully known and yet fully loved. You won't have to wonder anymore if I've truly been involved in your process. This moment will erase that doubt. You won't question whether I see you. This unfolding will answer you louder than any voice of fear ever could. So when it comes, when it wraps around you like sunlight after a long night, don't minimize it. Don't brush it off as luck or coincidence. Let it land. Let it speak. Let it sink into every part of you that's been quietly waiting to feel cherished. Because this isn't about making your life look better. It's about showing your heart that it matters deeply to me. And it always has. There were moments when the closed door stunned more than the silence, when opportunities slipped through your hands despite all your prayers and preparation. You thought those rejections were reflections of your inadequacy. You assumed the missed connections meant something was wrong with you. But they were never meant to define your value. They were designed to preserve your future. Each no I allowed wasn't denial, it was divine direction. I wasn't trying to frustrate you. I was creating room. You didn't see the full picture, but I did. I saw the hidden costs attached to the auctions you begged me to approve. I saw what you couldn't, the weight those paths would have carried, the distractions they would have caused, and the delay they would have introduced into your purpose. What looked like disappointment was actually protection. You wanted speed, but I was establishing foundation. You wanted open doors, but I was removing anything that would later demand your compromise. I've always been more committed to your wholeness than your timeline. So I let those always slip away. I removed what you clung to, not because I wanted to break your heart, but because I was preparing your hands for something greater, something you would have had no room to hold if I had answered every earlier request with a yes. And now, the shift is here. The yes I've reserved, the one tailor-made for this version of you, is about to appear, not forced, not begged for, but freely released. And when it arrives, it won't feel like striving. It will feel like alignment. It will meet your capacity, not overwhelm it. It will settle into place because it belongs there, not because you manipulated it into existence, but because I appointed it to this moment. You'll see, this is why I withheld certain things. This is why the doors you knocked on stayed shut. It wasn't about punishment or delay. It was about design. I was building something better, something more stable, more meaningful, more permanent. I was stripping away the distractions that looked like blessings but were really barriers dressed in disguise. And while you mourned what you lost, I was making room for what wouldn't leave. The no from that relationship. It spared you from years of emotional confusion. The no to that job. It protected your purpose from being buried beneath convenience. The no from those people you thought you needed. It released you from environments that would have diluted your fire. I knew what you were meant to carry, and I couldn't let you compromise it just to feel temporarily secure. The closed doors weren't setbacks, they were safeguards. And this is where everything shifts. Because the yes that's coming will explain every no that ever made you question my presence. This is the moment where it all starts to make sense. You will need to look back with regret. You'll look back with revelation. You'll see that I was never absent. I was deeply involved, pruning your path so that when the fullness arrived, you wouldn't miss it trying to make something else work. And you won't have to force this. You won't have to chase it or beg for it to stay. It will come with peace, not pressure. It will confirm its place in your life through consistency, not confusion. This yes is the one I've hidden until you were whole enough to handle it. It's not just going to bless you. It's going to align every part of your life into harmony. So let go of the pain of the no's. Release the false narratives they whispered. They weren't evidence of failure. They were seeds of redirection. And now, the bloom of this yes will be the proof that I was guiding you all along. Not one no was wasted. Not one prayer was ignored. I was clearing the path, not closing it. And now, it's open. You spent seasons comparing your pace to others, wondering if you missed something important, if somehow you fell off track while everyone else seemed to be advancing. You've watched people celebrate milestones you prayed for, and in your heart, you questioned whether you took a wrong turn or if something was broken in your journey. But I need you to hear this clearly. You are not late. You are not overlooked. You are not in delay. What I've set in motion for your life has always followed a divine rhythm, not a human timeline. I don't rush destinies. I don't panic over clocks or calendars. I move with precision, not pressure. You have not fallen behind. You have been walking through layers of preparation that couldn't be skipped. I slowed you down on purpose, not because I was withholding from you, but because I was weaving things together in a way that required careful timing. You don't need to rush to catch up. You need to rest in the truth that I've already caught you. Everything you thought was a setback was actually synchronizing you with a greater unfolding. And now, you are stepping into alignment, not as a last-minute exception, but as someone who was always meant to arrive at this exact place, in this exact moment. The doors opening now were not meant for who you used to be. They are perfectly shaped for who you've become. You had to grow through certain things. You had to unlearn old mindsets. You had to walk through the unfamiliar to gain insight you couldn't have gathered any other way. And yes, that made your journey slower. But it also made it deeper. And because of that, what's coming will last. You've been wondering why your story didn't unfold like theirs, why the same steps others took didn't produce the same results in your life. It's because I wasn't copying their process into your purpose. I was writing something completely unique with you. Your lane was never meant to match theirs. I didn't call you to blend in. I called you to follow a course that would reveal my fingerprints in unmistakable ways. And that's exactly what's happening now. The way this next chapter unfolds will silence every voice that told you were running late. You'll see doors open that others said were long gone. You'll walk into moments that seem too good to be true, but they won't be accidents. It will be appointments. And when it happens, it won't feel rushed or out of place. It'll feel like returning home to something that was always waiting for you. You won't need to force it. You won't need to apologize for how long it took. Because everything I've prepared for you had been held until now, not expired, not reassigned, but reserved. That's how much I care for you. I don't recycle promises. I don't pass on what I designed for you to someone else. What is yours is still yours. What I authored for you hasn't been cancelled by delay, nor has it been downgraded by detours. It's intact. It's preserved. And you're not late. You're right on schedule to receive it. This is the moment you stop racing against time and begin moving in step with grace. I've never measured your worth by your speed. I've always looked at your willingness to stay with me when everything felt uncertain. And now I'm showing you what happens when you trust the journey even when you can't see the finish line. What's about to break open in your life will restore every lost second with something eternal. You'll realize the wait wasn't wasted, it was wise. And you will finally breathe without the weight of comparison. Because you didn't miss your moment. You are walking into it now. You've been looking for something spectacular, expecting the sky to split, the earth to shake, or for everything around you to suddenly shift in a dramatic flash. But I want to prepare you for the way I often move, not through thunder, but through quiet precision. The beginning of this miracle may seem subtle. It may come dressed in simplicity, disguised as a small opportunity, a gentle nudge, a moment so normal you almost overlook it. But that's how I work when I want to test your discernment. The extraordinary rarely announces itself with noise. It slips into your life softly, unfolding slowly like the first light of dawn after a long night. It starts as something you could easily disregard, a conversation, an open door, a connection that doesn't seem important, until you begin to feel the undeniable presence of something sacred behind it. That's when you'll know, I'm in it. This is how I make sure only those who walk closely with me recognize my hand in the hidden. You've been conditioned to look for grand signs, but I'm teaching you to perceive my movement in the quiet. What's coming won't knock you down with fanfare. It will draw you in with peace. It will settle into your life like it's always belonged there, yet carry a weight that shifts everything around it. At first glance, it may seem too small to carry your breakthrough. But watch. What looks like a whisper now will grow into a roar of fulfillment. You will begin to notice how everything connected, how every random thread was actually being woven together in my perfect design. The divine always starts where the natural ends, and this is the season where your ordinary moments are about to become openings for something supernatural. I don't need to shout to be effective. I don't need to impress the world to leave you in awe. I use what others dismiss. I build from the simple. And this is why I'm urging you not to overlook what seems unimportant in this hour. There is something right in front of you that will lead to everything I promised, if you will just pause long enough to look deeper. You may not feel the shift instantly, but it will grow. It will evolve. What you thought was just another day will become the day everything quietly began to change. And I do it this way so no one can take credit, not even you. You'll look back and say, only God could have done this. Not because it came loud, but because it came alive. Alive with purpose. Alive with direction. Alive with my touch on every detail. And here's what's beautiful. This miracle will not require you to strive. It will come in stillness. It will flourish as you rest in me. The world may overlook it, but your spirit will leap, because it will recognize the origin. It didn't come from hustle or connections or strategy. It came from me. Crafted in heaven. Released on earth. Assigned to your name. And just as seeds grow underground before they ever break the surface, this miracle has already begun. You just haven't seen the full bloom yet. But you will. And when you do, you'll understand why it didn't come the way you expected. You'll thank me for the subtlety, for the softness, for the grace in the way I move it. Because I wasn't just performing a miracle. I was writing a story. And the best stories are the ones that unfold slowly, beautifully, with meaning in every moment. This is that story. And it's only just beginning. What's about to emerge from your life will not be the result of perfection, performance, or popularity. It will be a demonstration of what happens when brokenness is entrusted to my hands. They will see you walk with strength, but they won't realize that strength was forged in the moments you wanted to give up. They'll hear you speak with clarity, unaware of the seasons you sat in silence, unsure of anything. They will observe confidence on the outside, not realizing it was built on battles that nearly broke you. What they are about to witness isn't just a comeback. It's a confirmation. It's me revealing what I've been cultivating in the shadows. You are a living example of what grace looks like when it refuses to let go. Your life is becoming a canvas, and I'm painting a masterpiece that tells the world I never leave those who trust me. They're going to see it unfold and wonder how someone who faced so much pain can carry so much peace. They'll be curious how someone with your history is now walking in such wholeness. But they won't be able to explain it. Because grace can't be explained. It can only be encountered. And that's what I've been doing inside of you all along. I've been turning every wound into wisdom, every scar into strength, every unanswered question into a place where faith grew deeper than understanding ever could. You didn't know it then, but you were being prepared to carry something the world can't deny. You were being molded into a voice of hope, a reflection of endurance, and a walking reminder that nothing is wasted when it's surrendered to me. I took the very things the enemy used to try to bury you, and I used them to build a foundation. I took what was meant to silence you, and now I'm turning it into a message. And what makes this moment so powerful is that it doesn't come from a polished, picture-perfect story. It comes from the truth of pain that was endured and transformed. It comes from tears that watered seeds you didn't even know were being planted. It comes from the fire that purified your motives, leaving only what is pure, strong, and true. And now, as I begin to reveal what's been growing beneath the surface, people will see that it wasn't talent that carried you. It was trust. It wasn't resources that lifted you. It was resilience. It wasn't influence that opened the way. It was intimacy with me. You're about to walk into places where people expect credentials, but your story will be your authority. They'll listen not because you fit a mold, but because you carry something real, something weighty, something birthed through fire. And I need you to know, I'm not doing this to oppress them. I'm doing this because it's time to redeem everything that tried to destroy you. This is a holy unveiling, a moment where my glory shines through your survival. And no one will be able to say it was luck or coincidence, because they'll remember when you had nothing, when you were quiet, when you disappeared for a while. They'll remember when it seemed like your voice was gone, your light was dim, your presence forgotten. But now, they'll see something has changed. And what changed wasn't just your circumstances, it was your capacity. You're not stepping out the same way you stepped in. You've been rebuilt from the inside out. And every ounce of that pain has now become a platform for purpose. So when they ask how it happened, just point to grace. Don't try to explain the timeline. Don't defend the process. Just let your life speak. Let your walk testify. Let the outcome declare that I never left your side. Because grace is now your evidence, and they are about to see what I've been forming all along. You didn't survive by chance, you were preserved on purpose. There were attacks designed to break you in ways no one else could see. Some were obvious, others were subtle, the kind that chipped away at your confidence, your identity, your sense of belonging. There were people who tried to diminish your value with their silence, their absence, their rejection. You were underestimated, misunderstood, and misjudged, but I did not allow those attempts to succeed. Because what I deposited in you is not fragile. What I've called you to carry is too sacred to be touched by human hands with impure motives. I shielded you even when you didn't know you needed protection. There were moments where you wondered why they left, why they turned cold, why it felt like you were losing everything, but in reality, I was removing what could not go with you. I was preventing duplication, counterfeits, manipulation. If I had let their words shape your destiny, they would have claimed ownership of something I authored long before you even knew your own worth. So I cut it off. I severed ties. I disrupted alignments that were slowly draining your strength. And though it felt like loss, it was actually preservation. Because what I'm about to release in your life isn't just unique, it's untouchable. No one else could have received this assignment, this moment, this mantle. It was shaped by your tears, refined by your endurance, and secured by my promise. I didn't allow your enemies to triumph over you because I was using their resistance to expose their limitation. They saw you as disposable. I saw you as destined. They thought they could delay your rise. I was only using the pause to increase your depth. And now, what they tried to sabotage will only serve as a backdrop to your breakthrough. Your betrayal cannot stop what's coming. Your absence cannot block what I've spoken. Their opinions carry no authority in the realm of your purpose. And this is important. Don't waste time trying to prove anything to them. You're not called to make them understand. You're called to walk forward without apology. Because the very thing they mocked is now being magnified. The place they look down on is about to become the platform from which you speak with boldness and grace. And when they see you rising, when they watch the favor that follows you now, they'll realize they never had the power they thought they did. I didn't choose you based on their vote. I didn't bless you according to their permission. I moved according to my will, and now, no one can replicate what I've reserved for you. This move isn't just personal, it's prophetic. It sets the record straight. It shows that I don't play favorites, I prepare vessels. And you've been prepared. You've been pressed but not broken. You've been stretched but not torn. You've been wounded but not wasted. And now, you are stepping into a season of proof. Not revenge, proof. The kind of manifestation that doesn't need a crowd to validate it, but when the crowd sees it, they'll know, my hand has done this. There will be no blueprint for what I'm about to do through you. No one will be able to trace it back to a connection or credit themselves for opening the door. Because I'm making it clear. This was me. I withheld no good thing. I waited until the moment when nothing could interfere. And now, as you walk forward, you'll feel it, the shift, the wind, the weight lifting off your shoulders. Because this next move is not borrowed, it's birthed. And they won't be able to imitate what's been incubated in the secret place. What I deliver through you now will carry a signature that says, Heaven made, God sealed, and untouchable by man. There comes a point where your life transitions from simply holding on to a word to becoming the fulfillment of it. That's where you are now. You're not just stepping into a moment of blessing, you're becoming the living proof that I don't abandon what I start. Everything you've walked through has shaped you not only to witness the promise, but to embody it. You're not just going to talk about faith, you're going to personify it. People won't just hear you speak about perseverance, they'll see it radiating from your life. The transformation you're about to experience is not limited to outward gain. It's going to redefine your presence, your atmosphere, your very identity. This isn't about acquiring more things. This is about stepping into alignment so deeply that when others look at you, they recognize the fingerprints of a faithful God. You are becoming a reflection of my word in motion. And the process that felt long, heavy, and even confusing at times was precisely what made you into someone who could carry this kind of assignment with humility and depth. I'm not just delivering something to you. I'm revealing something through you. You've become a vessel that carries more than potential. You carry fulfillment. And what makes this moment so powerful is that it isn't rooted in convenience or shortcuts. It's rooted in covenant. What I've been doing in you is building a testimony that won't need to be explained. It will be undeniable. Those who come near you will sense something has changed, and it won't be surface level. It will be an internal shift that's impossible to ignore. You've been asking for results, but I've been forming revelation. You've been seeking breakthrough, but I've been crafting transformation. Now, when people ask if I'm real, they won't need a sermon. They'll look at you. They'll see the strength that came from surrender. They'll feel the peace that wasn't based on perfect circumstances but rooted in supernatural confidence. You won't just be a receiver of the promise. You'll be the representation of it. That's why the process had to go so deep. That's why I didn't let you skip any steps. because shallow faith can't sustain a visible testimony. And now, the shift is irreversible. You're becoming the walking evidence that I complete what I begin, that I don't tease my children with visions I won't fulfill, that I bring to life the very things that once seemed impossible. And here's what I want you to understand. What you're stepping into isn't temporary. It's not a fleeting blessing or a momentary high. This is a marked turning point. One that doesn't just provide, it proves. It proves that trust in me is never wasted. It proves that waiting on me is never in vain. It proves that I still move mountains, open impossible doors, and raise people from the ashes of loss into the fullness of purpose. You are the evidence. Not because you have it all together, but because you stayed when it made no sense to keep going. You chose belief when doubt would have been easier. And now, your endurance is about to shine like a light for others still walking in the dark. They'll find hope in your story. They'll find courage in your steps. Not because of your strength, but because of what my grace has done in and through you. So as you enter this next chapter, carry it with purpose. Walk knowing you are not just being blessed. You are being positioned. Positioned to reflect, to shine, to declare with every part of your life, God is faithful. And if He did it for me, He'll do it again. This is your moment to step not just into answered prayer, but into becoming the answer for someone else watching, waiting, wondering if the promise still stands. And through you, they'll see that it does. Here's a shift taking place even now, though your surroundings may still look the same. The heaviness that has lingered like a cloud over your shoulders, the kind of burden that has followed you through quiet nights and long days, is beginning to lift. You've grown used to the ache of delay, to the tension of hoping while feeling unsure. The weight wasn't just from what hadn't happened yet. It was from the constant resistance of believing without seeing. And still, you chose to hold on. You carried that tension with dignity, even when it hurt. You made space in your heart for something you hadn't yet received. That wasn't weakness. That was strength. Not the loud kind, not the kind people cheer for, but the sacred kind that heaven sees and rewards. I watched you keep going when you didn't feel seen. I watched you protect the fragile hope you carried, like a flame in a storm. I know how hard it was. And I want you to know that it mattered. It all mattered. Every second you stayed faithful. Every tear you didn't understand. Every step you took forward with tired feet. You weren't just waiting. You were expanding. You were stretching into someone who could hold what's coming. Waiting never meant you were being ignored. It meant something was being perfected. You didn't know it, but I was making sure that what's on the way wouldn't just visit. It would remain. And now, the moment is near when your arms will no longer be empty. The ache is turning into awe. The delay is transforming into delivery. And what's most beautiful about this transition is how natural it will feel. After carrying the weight for so long, the wonder will settle into your life like a long-awaited sunrise, quiet but undeniable. There will be no striving, no forcing, no chasing. The very thing that made you question if you'd ever see change will suddenly begin to take shape before your eyes. And it will be undeniable that I orchestrated every detail. What once weighed you down will be replaced by a glory that lifts your head. Not just externally, but internally. The joy will not come from possessions, it will come from presence. From realizing that what you hoped for was never lost, just delayed. And now, it's here. Not because of anything you manipulated, but because you waited well. You trusted in the absence of signs. You stayed present when the process offered no updates. And for that, I'm releasing something that doesn't just make up for the wait. It redefines it. You'll see that every day you felt forgotten was a day I was building foundations underground. What looked like a standstill was actually sacred alignment. And now, you'll walk into places that feel both new and strangely familiar, because your spirit has been preparing for this moment, even when your mind wasn't sure it would come. Don't be surprised when peace comes before the full picture does. Don't be alarmed when you start to feel the release before you see the result. That's not coincidence. That's confirmation. The atmosphere around you is shifting because the answer is no longer on its way. It's arriving. The same arms that held unanswered prayers will soon embrace fulfilled ones. And you'll know, not with a doubt, but with a settled certainty, that the wait was never wasted. It was shaping your capacity. It was softening your heart. It was preparing your soul for the kind of joy that doesn't shake when storms come. And now, as the wonder replaces the burden, let yourself breathe deeply. You don't have to brace for disappointment anymore. You don't have to flinch with fear. The season of waiting with heaviness is over. The season of receiving with wonder has begun. What's unfolding in your life isn't simply about access. It's about transformation. This isn't just one opportunity slipping open so you can step through. It's an entirely new atmosphere being established around you. I'm not making a small adjustment. I'm moving you into a different realm of function, of vision, of authority. Where you once stood waiting for permission, you will now stand appointed. Where you once had to ask to be seen, you will now be called by name. I'm altering your placement, not just in the eyes of others, but in how you see yourself. This repositioning isn't about status. It's about clarity. You're going to see your role in my plan with a fresh understanding. You've spent so long feeling like you were on the edge, observing others cross thresholds you longed for, and silently wondering when it would be your time. You've even tried to shrink, thinking perhaps the spotlight wasn't meant for you. But I never designed you to live in the margins of my will. I've been setting the stage for a significant relocation, not geographically, but spiritually. You're being ushered into a place of spiritual alignment where what felt too big will now feel like it was always meant for you. This is the shift from wandering to walking in fullness. I'm not just opening something external. I'm activating something internal. Your voice will sound different. Your prayers will carry new weight. Your presence will command peace in places that once overwhelmed you. Because when I shift your position, I don't just change your surroundings. I upgrade your spirit. And make no mistake, this isn't promotion for show. This is not about being seen more. It's about being anchored deeper. I'm repositioning you so that you function from overflow instead of strain, from discernment instead of reaction, from truth instead of insecurity. You're stepping into territory that once intimidated you, but now you'll carry confidence not based on experience, but on divine placement. You'll no longer knock on doors hoping to be accepted. Now, you'll find yourself standing in rooms already assigned to your name, not because you forced your way in, but because I opened the path and called you forward. I'm making room where there wasn't any. I'm clearing resistance that you didn't even know was blocking your view. And this shift is not subtle, it's structural. It changes how you move, how you speak, how you pray, how you make decisions. You won't second-guess yourself like you used to, because my spirit will confirm each step with such certainty that you'll know. This is not by accident. This is placement on purpose. What once felt out of reach will now become your daily atmosphere. What once felt like too much will now feel like your exact assignment. Because I've shifted the weight. I've lifted what was misaligned. I've repositioned you to walk where you once waited. And don't be surprised when others begin to look to you differently. Not out of pride or performance, but because they'll sense the authority I've placed on your life. You won't need to announce it. The atmosphere will respond to what I've deposited within you. Even your surroundings will begin to adjust. People, relationships, ideas, and strategies, all beginning to match what I've called you into. And here is the beauty of it. You don't need to strive to stay here. This is not a fragile moment. This is a permanent move. A new seat has been assigned to you in the place I've prepared. And as you sit in it, you'll realize that all the previous waiting, stretching, and warfare were preparing you not just for an open door, but for an entirely new level of life. You are no longer standing at the edge. You've been shifted. You've been placed. And what I open now will never return you to where you came from. You felt like you've been pressing against walls that refused to move, trying, believing, asking, knocking, only to be met with delay, rejection, or silence. There were things you approached in obedience that seemed to push you away as if you weren't ready, or worse, not worthy. You stood in front of opportunities that felt right but never open. You prayed into situations with pure intentions, yet nothing shifted. It wasn't because you lacked faith. It wasn't because you didn't try hard enough. It was because the timing hadn't reached its fulfillment, and the spiritual resistance was not a reflection of failure. It was a sign of preparation. But now that resistance is breaking, what once stood unmoved will begin to yield. The very places where you were once met with hesitation are about to open without force. Not because you've changed the method, but because I've changed the season. I've gone ahead and softened the ground. The spiritual resistance that once made progress feel impossible is being dismantled. What was closed to you is no longer closed, not because you're pushing harder, but because the atmosphere has shifted in your favor. This is the moment where the doors won't just crack, they'll swing. Where the environment won't just tolerate you, it will welcome you. Things that seemed unresponsive are going to start moving toward you because your authority has matured. You don't have to prove yourself anymore. You don't have to demand to be seen or heard. I've already spoken for you. I've already touched the unseen realm and cleared the interference that once stood between you and fulfillment. And now, your words will carry weight where they once felt hollow. Your presence will bring answers where there was once confusion. Even your prayers will feel different, sharper, stronger, immediately effective. Because the realm that resisted you is now recognizing what you carry. Your growth has been registered in heaven, and the earth is now responding accordingly. You've outgrown the opposition that once tried to intimidate you. You're no longer approaching as someone hoping for acceptance. You're standing as someone appointed. That changes everything. The spiritual gates that once held you back will now open at your approach, not because of force, but because of identity. You are not the same person who first knocked. You are now carrying authority forged in the fire of persistence. You've been refined through the pressure of delay, and now that refinement is causing the resistance to crumble. You'll walk into places that once rejected you, and find them waiting for your arrival. The same people who dismissed you will now seek your insight. Systems that ignored you will begin to make space. But remember this. This response is not about recognition. It's about release. I'm releasing the held-back favor. I'm releasing the long-awaited instruction. I'm releasing influence where there was once restriction. And it's not so you can prove a point. It's so you can fulfill the purpose. There's no need to revisit the pain of past resistance. Let it go. Let me show you how much can happen when obedience aligns with timing. Let me remind you that I am not slow. I am precise. And I've timed this shift so that nothing and no one can block it. The same voice you once raised in frustration will now be lifted in praise as you see circumstances bend, people respond, and opportunities open without the battle you thought you'd have to fight again. This is divine reversal. The resistance is over. The response has begun. And as it unfolds, you'll realize it's not you they're responding to. It's me, working through you, confirming that the wait was never for nothing. It was preparation for power. What I'm bringing into your life isn't just a passing relief, a short-lived improvement, or a moment of inspiration that fades with time. It's a shift that touches everything. It will linger. It will settle. It will transform the landscape of your existence in ways that remain, not just ripple. This isn't a flash of favor that flickers and fades. This is a total reconstruction of the spiritual climate around you. I'm not adding a blessing to your situation. I'm writing the atmosphere your life operates in. You will breathe differently. You will think with greater clarity. You will move with a confidence that isn't rooted in ego, but in the awareness that something irreversible has occurred. This isn't a season you'll walk through. It's a foundation you'll build on. I have not been preparing you for a breakthrough that fades with time or depends on performance. I've been crafting a permanent shift. The pressure you've endured, the darkness you navigated, the confusion that pressed against your mind, all of it is giving way to a new environment governed not by chaos, but by my peace. And that peace won't just touch moments. It will become the ground you walk on daily. The clarity you've longed for, the sense of direction that felt just out of reach, it's coming, not in pieces, but in fullness. The cycle of rising and falling, of catching glimpses of hope only to have them stolen, that cycle ends now. I'm removing the patterns that kept you circling the same mountains, the invisible forces that created heaviness even when circumstances looked fine on the outside. Because this is more than an external change. It's a divine reordering from the inside out. Your inner world is being stabilized. Your emotions, once volatile from years of struggle and uncertainty, are coming into alignment with truth. The kind of truth that doesn't change when feelings fluctuate. You're going to wake up and realize that what used to trigger anxiety now meets calm. That the battles you once braced yourself for never arrive, because they no longer have access to the new realm I've placed you in. And no, this isn't perfection, it's progression sealed by presence. My presence. I'm not handing you something and stepping back. I'm accompanying this shift with myself. My spirit is surrounding you in ways you'll feel, sense and know, even before results fully manifest. Others may think your life changed suddenly, but you will know it was spiritual long before it was visible. You'll be able to walk into places that once drained you and remain unaffected, because the atmosphere within you is no longer subject to the atmosphere around you. You carry what I've given, and no environment can take it from you. It's the power of this change. It's not held together by external factors, it's anchored in me. And what's anchored in me cannot be undone. Not by people. Not by pressure. Not by the shifting tides of life. I want you to stop expecting loss where I've established life. I want you to stop fearing that this peace will vanish like other moments did. This isn't like what you've known before. This is stability. This is substance. This is what I've been developing in the silence, preserving in the process, and now unveiling in your walk. You won't have to wonder if it's real. You'll feel it. Every conversation will carry a different tone. Every decision will come with new wisdom. Every space you step into will begin to reflect the stillness, power, and favor resting on your life. You're not walking into a temporary season of goodness. You're stepping into an unshakable rhythm of grace that changes your atmosphere forever. And from this moment forward, what begins in you will begin to affect everything around you. There were times you felt invisible, like your voice faded into the background no matter how loudly you prayed, how faithfully you served, or how much you hoped. You watched others receive opportunities, open doors, recognition, and answers while you remained still, waiting, wondering if I had forgotten your name. The silence felt personal. The delay felt like rejection. And you started to question your worth, not just to people, but to me. But I need you to hear this truth clearly and without doubt. I never turned away from you. I never placed you on the sidelines to punish you. I positioned you in stillness because what I have written for you does not fit in common timing, nor does it flourish under shallow favor. You weren't excluded, you were hidden, protected, shielded from premature exposure, set apart for something weightier than you could have handled at the time. While it may have looked like others passed you by, you were never in a race against them. I wasn't measuring you against their progress. I was preparing you for an appointment they weren't even called to. And that preparation required silence. It required separation. It required a level of pruning that others would not have survived. But you did. You endured the quiet that made no sense. You remained faithful even when you had every reason to retreat. And now the season of hiddenness is ending. Not because you earned a reward, but because the timing of release has arrived. I didn't forget you. I was reserving you. Because what I've prepared for you wasn't something I could give away casually. It carries too much purpose. It affects too many others. The anointing on your life couldn't be rushed or compromised. So I waited. I waited for the right moment, the one I've designed from the beginning. And now, that moment is awakening. You'll begin to sense it before you see it. A holy stirring. A new confidence rising within you. A sense that something long held back is now leaning toward your direction. And it's not coming because you forced your way into anything. It's coming because you waited with purity, with trust, with humility. This isn't the kind of elevation that happens through connections or positioning. It's the kind that happens through divine appointment. What I'm releasing into your life now won't require you to compete for it or explain why you're qualified to receive it. Your journey hath been your preparation. Your scars are your credentials. Your loyalty is your confirmation. You didn't seek to be seen. You sought me. And because of that, I will make sure the right people, the right doors, the right places begin to align. This is your time not to be discovered, but to be revealed. And there is a difference. Discovery is accidental. Revelation is intentional. I am unveiling what I placed in you long ago. The world is about to witness what I've been nurturing in the silence. And when they see it, they won't understand the cost. They won't know the depths of the tears, the quiet obedience, the moments you carried hope in the dark. But I know. And I'm not just revealing you. I'm exalting you in a way that reflects my character. I don't lift people for status, I raise them to shine light. Your life is about to radiate with evidence that being hidden wasn't a curse, it was a covering. And what I've covered, I will now crown. This isn't a season to shrink or question why now. This is a season to step into what was always waiting for you. Because I never skipped over you. I was saving the best moment to release what could not be rushed. What tried to break you was never a sign that you were forgotten. It was confirmation that something sacred was drawing near. The pressure increased not because you were moving in the wrong direction, but because the threshold of fulfillment was getting closer with every obedient step you took. The resistance you encountered wasn't random. The moments that felt like everything was falling apart weren't the end. They were evidence that you were approaching the very thing the enemy feared you would touch. The battles intensified not because I was far from you, but because I was about to place something in your hands that would shift your life permanently. The storm came to shake your resolve, hoping you would retreat. The whispers of doubt weren't born from truth, but from fear in the unseen realm that you would finally walk into everything I designed for you. And yet, you didn't quit. You stayed when others stepped away. You fought through heaviness. You chose trust over self-protection. And I saw all of it. I took note of every silent war you fought in the night. The ones no one else noticed but were real nonetheless. You didn't fold under the weight. You grew stronger beneath it. And now, I need you to realize. The enemy doesn't attack what has no value. He doesn't waste energy on what isn't aligned with heaven. The fierce opposition, the delays, the confusion, all of it was a reaction to the closeness of your appointed moment. The closer you came, the more the pressure tried to shake your focus. But pressure doesn't mean absence. It means proximity. You were closer than you realized. And now that you've crossed that invisible line, that barrier between waiting and receiving, you're about to see why the fight was so intense. The very areas where you experienced the greatest warfare will now become the same places where my presence will be undeniable. The struggle was a decoy to blind you to what was being delivered. But no resistance can stop what I have ordained. In fact, I use opposition as a tool, not to harm you, but to refine you. You learned to recognize my voice more clearly. You learned to move in stillness instead of noise. You became anchored not in comfort, but in conviction. And those lessons are now your armor. They have made you ready not only to receive what's coming, but to carry it with power and responsibility. I'm releasing something that opposition could not steal, not because you were strong on your own, but because you leaned into me when your strength ran out. That's what I've been waiting for. Not perfection, but posture. Not performance, but persistence. And now that the test hath been endured, the unveiling begins. You will walk forward, not limping but healed, not hesitant but sure, because what once chased you with fear will now watch you walk in authority. The tables are turning, not out of revenge but out of divine justice. I'm restoring the years that were consumed by struggle. I'm redeeming the time that felt wasted in warfare. I'm repaying what was stolen in confusion. And more than that, I'm elevating you in the very places where it felt like everything was against you. What once intimidated you will now bow to the peace I've placed within you. You will no longer be the one trying to break through. You will be the one others come to when they need to understand how to endure. This is your moment of reversal. The tension was real, but it was temporary. The opposition was loud, but it was limited. And now, as the blessing emerges, you will see why it had to happen this way. Because the intensity of the resistance is about to be matched by the intensity of my release. What's coming is greater than what was lost. And what's arriving can no longer be blocked. You've passed through the pressure. Now step into the promise. There are those who dismissed you, not out of misunderstanding, but by choice. They saw your journey, heard your convictions, and still decided you weren't going anywhere. Some spoke carelessly about your future. Others quietly waited for your downfall. They didn't believe that your faith would hold. They didn't think your quiet consistency would lead to anything meaningful. To them, your obedience looked like weakness. Your humility looked like insignificance. Your patience looked like wasted time. But what they couldn't see is what I was building in the dark. A plan not only to bless you, but to use you as a signpost of what I can do with someone who doesn't quit. And now, I'm about to put something in motion that they never saw coming. I'm not revealing this next season in private. I'm doing it in such a way that even those who doubted you will have to take notice, not to shame them, but to show them who I am. You don't have to seek vindication. I'm your vindicator. You don't need to retaliate. Your breakthrough will speak volumes. There is a move of my hand coming that will do what your words never could. You stayed silent when others questioned your path. You stayed grounded when provoked to respond. You kept walking when it would have been easier to explain yourself. And I took notice of every choice you made to stay aligned with me instead of fighting for recognition. Now I am stepping in, not with wrath, but with glory. What I'm about to do in your life won't just affirm your obedience. It will shift the perceptions of those who thought they knew your story. This is more than blessing, it's exposure. The same eyes that watched for failure will witness your fulfillment. And I'm not doing this for spectacle. I'm doing this for testimony. Your journey is about to answer their assumptions without you uttering a word. I will make it so clear that you didn't elevate yourself. I did. And because of that, there will be no doubt that it was my favor that opened the doors, my hand that lifted the weight, and my presence that changed the outcome. The tables are turning, but not in the way the world defines it. This isn't revenge. This is revelation. You're going to walk into rooms that once ignored you and be honored. You're going to see hearts shift, not out of guilt, but through conviction. I'm softening the very ones who judged you so that they too can see what grace looks like when it's poured out on someone they didn't expect. And here's the key. You must remain anchored in the same humility that brought you here. Don't let pride take root. Don't let their shock become your fuel. Let your peace speak. Let your fruit speak. Let your life, steady, healed, and whole, be the message. Because what I'm doing isn't just about you. It's about showing those watching from a distance that I still honor those who walk in surrender. That I still lift the ones who choose purity over power, faithfulness over fame. And as they see you rise, some will quietly retreat. Others will come closer, not to harm, but to understand. Be ready for both. Love the ones who return with questions. Let them taste the fruit without fear. Because in blessing you, I am reaching them. This is how I work. I raise up one to awaken many. And what was once your pain is becoming someone else's invitation. So do not shrink. Do not question whether you deserve this. You were never called to deserve it. You were called to carry it. And now, with your heart aligned and your hands clean, receive what I'm placing in your life, knowing it will bless you, but it will also open the eyes of those who never expected to see you here. I'm not just surprising you. I'm shifting the narrative entirely. There were voices that questioned your calling, not because of what you lacked, but because they couldn't understand what I had placed within you. They saw you through the lens of history, not destiny. They measured your potential based on appearances, unaware of the seeds I had buried deep beneath the surface of your silence. You were misjudged, not for your flaws, but because your fruit hadn't yet appeared. They assumed slowness meant stagnation, and they equated stillness with irrelevance. But what they didn't know, what they couldn't possibly see, was the work I was doing behind the scenes. I allowed them to doubt so that when I moved, there would be no confusion about who made it happen. Their disbelief is not your failure. It's part of the stage I'm setting for glory. I'm not just turning things around in your life. I'm using your life as a turning point in theirs. You may not realize it, but their eyes have been watching more closely than you thought. They've observed your endurance, your refusal to fight back in pride, your unwavering posture when it would have been easier to bow out. And now, I will take what they questioned and make it the very place where they encounter the reality of who I am. Your consistency in obscurity, your faith in contradiction, your trust in uncertainty, all of it hath been building a testimony not just for you, but for them. I'm not exposing them to shame them. I'm opening their eyes to save them. They will come to understand that what they doubted in you was really their doubt in me. And when I lift you, it will feel like personal revenge. It will feel like divine intervention. You won't need to say, "I told you so." You'll say, "Look what the Lord has done." Your success isn't about superiority, it's about service. Your promotion is not the end, it's the invitation. I'm making you the evidence they didn't know they needed. And don't be surprised when some of those same people begin to draw near again, not to manipulate or mock, but because their hearts are being softened. Your transformation is going to challenge their assumptions. They'll want to know how. You'll want to understand why. And that's when I will open your mouth with wisdom, seasoned in grace, to speak not from pride but from purpose. You won't need to defend what I'm doing. Your peace will prove it. Your fruit will validate it. And as they see the outcome, they will begin to confront their own doubts, not just about you, but about me. That's the true miracle I'm after. Yes, I'm restoring what was lost to you. Yes, I'm blessing you in ways you never imagined. But I'm also writing a much bigger story. One that turns doubters into believers. One that takes skepticism and turns it into surrender. And I chose you for this role not because you were the loudest, the strongest, or the most qualified, but because you were willing to walk in quiet trust while the world misunderstood your silence. You didn't retaliate. You didn't try to prove your worth. You just kept showing up with faith, with prayer, with a heart still willing to believe when there was no applause. That's what I honor. And now, as your life begins to shift publicly, it won't just be a new chapter for you. It will be a door for others. Those who once laughed will begin to learn. Those who rolled their eyes will be moved by what they can't explain. Because I'm not only restoring your name, I'm revealing mine through it. So don't shrink back. Don't quiet your joy. Let the transformation speak. Let the light shine. For what they once doubted in you will soon become the very thing that brings them closer to me. Your journey will be their testimony. There was a time when it felt like everything around you was drying up. Doors that once swung open became still. People who were once present drifted, and the ground beneath your feet seemed to lose its grip. You were walking through days that felt stretched thin, not just physically but spiritually. You continued to pray, not because it felt powerful but because it was all you had left. You stayed near even when it felt like my presence was distant. That wasn't weakness. That was devotion. That with a kind of faith that doesn't live on feelings but on relationship. You didn't understand why the answers didn't come, why the movement stopped, why you felt surrounded by silence. But what looked like a barren place was actually the deep ground of trust being cultivated. You remained when nothing made sense. You chose faithfulness when fruitfulness was invisible. You weren't holding on to a result, you were holding on to me. And now I'm turning the tide. The drought has served its purpose. It revealed what couldn't be shaken. It showed you what mattered. It refined your motives and purified your praise. You're no longer serving me for what I can do. You're walking with me for who I am. That's why the due season is being released with weight. This isn't a temporary blessing or a shallow outpouring. This is overflow. This is what happens when a soul has been emptied of self and made ready for abundance. I'm not just sending something to fill the surface. I'm releasing rivers to flood your foundation. The places where you lacked will now become the places where you lead. The same areas that once drained you will now become sources of strength to others. You were emptied, yes. But now you are being filled, not just to satisfy your needs, but to spill over into every space around you. People will notice. They'll ask where the blow came from. They'll wonder how you turned the corner. But you'll know it wasn't sudden. It was slow. It was sacred. It was me. I was never punishing you in the dry season. I was preparing you to appreciate what overflow feels like. Because overflow doesn't begin with a possession. It begins with posture. You learned how to worship in famine. You chose gratitude in lack. You praised me without proof. And that kind of surrender cannot go unanswered. I am the God who sees in secret, and I reward what is built in obscurity. I'm about to do something that will not only meet your need but exceed your expectations. I'm not filling your cup halfway. I'm making it run over. Your relationships, your insight, your influence, your spirit, all of it is about to expand. Not because you chased it, but because you remain planted. Because you let me prune you when it would have been easier to pretend everything was fine. I saw when you laid down your pride and said, God, even if nothing changes, I'm still here. That moment moved heaven. That surrender invited favor in ways you haven't even imagined. And now, the rain is coming. Not in a drizzle, in a downpour. And you won't have to search for where it's falling. It's coming to your address. It's coming to the field where you kept sowing even when the soil looked barren. It's coming to the space you did abandon when it would have been easier to walk away. So prepare to hold more than you thought possible. Prepare to see provision multiply in your hands. Prepare to feel joy rise in places that once carried grief. I'm not giving you just enough. I'm releasing more than enough. Because you didn't run from the dry season. You trusted me through it. And now, the flow begins. You'll look back and thank me, not just for the blessing, but for the season that made room to carry it. Every unnoticed yes, every quiet surrender, every unseen act of obedience. I remember them all. Nothing has escaped my attention. The moments when you kept your mouth shut instead of defending yourself, the times you showed up even when your heart was bruised and your strength was thin, the hours you spent doing what no one applauded. All of it has been collected. You didn't think it mattered at the time. You wondered if the silence meant insignificance. You questioned if your surrender counted when no one else acknowledged it. But I did. I saw the tears you wiped quickly so others wouldn't worry. I heard the whispered prayers you prayed just to make it through another day. I noticed the way you served from an empty place, because you believed in something bigger than yourself. And now I want you to know, nothing was wasted. I've been storing it all, like precious oil, in heaven's chamber of remembrance. And the time has come for release. I am redeeming the seasons where it felt like you were losing more than you were gaining. I'm bringing beauty out of places you thought were barren forever. You've sown in secret. Now the harvest will speak in public. The restoration I'm sending will not only return what was lost, it will multiply it. I will restore your name, your time, your energy, your voice. And not with noise, but with authority. Not with noise, but with clarity. People who once overlooked you won't even recognize you. Because this isn't about proving a point. It's about revealing my promise. You didn't choose this path for recognition. You chose it because you love me. And because of that, I'm about to honor you in a way that silence could never steal. The struggle, though long, was not meaningless. It formed something inside of you that could not be produced any other way. It deepened your compassion. It refined your discernment. It purified your motives. You became someone I could trust, and not because of what you said, but because of what you gave up. You let go of comfort to keep your heart clean. You surrendered opportunity to remain faithful. You carried your cross when others dropped theirs. And I say to you now, this is the moment where the hidden cost is met with open reward. Not just materially, but eternally. There are gifts I've kept sealed until now, not because you weren't ready, but because the environment needed to catch up to what I placed inside of you. And now it has. I'm positioning you in places that will amplify what you once whispered. I'm opening doors where your influence will no longer be hindered by the limits others once tried to place around you. I'm causing others to take notice, not because you demanded it, but because my glory will be resting on everything you touch. But don't let the visible reward distract you from the true miracle. Your soul made it. You kept your heart from becoming bitter. You held on to integrity. You chose me again and again when it would have been easier to bow to pressure. That's what I'm honoring. That's what I'm breathing on. Your sacrifice is about to be met with satisfaction, the kind that doesn't fade with time or depend on applause. It's the satisfaction that comes when you realize I've been with you through every lonely step, and I'm now turning every hidden seed into visible fruit. You will walk into spaces and feel the confirmation. This is where the pain begins to make sense. This is where the long road reveals its reward. You didn't wait in vain. You didn't sacrifice in vain. You didn't stay silent in vain. This is your moment of redemption. Not rushed. Not forced. Fully, wholly, divinely timed. And it begins now. There have been times when you tried to put into words why you still believe it, why you kept holding on, why you refused to walk away when everything pointed toward giving up. You didn't always have the language to defend your hope. Sometimes your words felt weak. Your explanations felt inadequate, and you wondered if anyone truly understood the depth of your trust. Others questioned your decisions, some silently, others openly. They couldn't comprehend why you stayed faithful when outcomes were delayed, why you chose prayer instead of panic, why you clung to promises you couldn't see. And even though you remained composed on the outside, inside you often wished you had more tangible proof to point to. Something that could silence the doubt of others and quiet the uncertainty within your own soul. But I want you to know, that moment is coming. I'm not just going to confirm what you believed privately. I'm going to bring forth undeniable evidence in your public life. You won't have to try to explain anymore. Your breakthrough will speak. Your transformation will preach. Your peace will testify. The favor that follows you will be louder than any argument, and the results I bring into your life will settle what your words never could. This won't be about clever explanations or persuasive responses. It will be about fruit. And fruit doesn't need a press release. It simply exists, nourishes, and speaks for itself. It's what I'm about to do with your story. I'm turning your faith from a concept into a visible, living reality. I'm taking your quiet confidence and wrapping it in undeniable manifestation. Those who once questioned your discernment will stand back in wonder. Not because you finally convinced them, but because I intervened in ways that left no room for doubt. I will demonstrate who I am by showing what I've been doing all along. They'll see me in your healed heart, in your restored strength, in the divine timing of your next chapter. This won't be a moment that's up for debate. It will be confirmation so clear, so specific, so aligned with the very things you once dared to hope for, that even the most skeptical will have to admit something greater was guiding your steps. And here's the beauty of it. You won't need to announce it. The evidence will emerge quietly, but powerfully. It will arrive without you striving. It will unfold without you having to defend your journey. I will do what only I can do, place my undeniable mark upon your life in a way that leaves others with no explanation but me. This is how I honor the ones who trust me when it's hardest. Not just with peace, but with proof. Not just with answers, but with outcomes. You've lived through the waiting, the wondering, the warfare. And through it all, you kept choosing faith, not because you had all the facts, but because you had me. Now I will respond with more than words. I will respond with demonstration. The plans I've made for you were never empty. They were never hypothetical. They are real. And you are about to walk into the fulfillment of what your heart dared to believe when nothing else made sense. I'm giving you the kind of testimony that doesn't begin with "let me explain," but with "let me show you what God has done." So release the pressure to convince anyone. You don't need to explain the process. Let your life speak. Let your peace speak. Let your joy speak. I've already written the script, and the next chapter is demonstration. It will be clear. It will be timely. It will be divine. Because your faith was never foolish, it was the foundation. And now, the evidence is about to appear. You've encountered opposition that didn't make sense, closed doors you never expected, relationships that turned without warning, and seasons where every step forward felt met with invisible resistance. You tried to analyze it, wondering if you did something wrong or missed a signal, but what you were really facing wasn't punishment. It was redirection. I wasn't letting the wrong things succeed because I was preserving space for what truly belonged to you. I was not allowing you to settle for what seemed available because I was preparing what was appointed. And now, the moment has arrived where what was being woven in silence is being released into motion. But this time, it will be different. You won't have to chase, beg, or push. I'm bringing divine alignment into your life, the kind that moves people, places, and timing into position without you having to force anything. The kind of orchestration that proves I was working all along. This is not coincidence. It is clarity. It is the response to every moment you chose to trust me even when nothing lined up in your favor. What is about to align in your life will not be able to be shaken by human hands or sabotaged by spiritual warfare. This alignment is sealed by my authority. It doesn't rely on popularity, influence, or the approval of people. It is divine. Appointed. Protected. What once felt out of reach will now come effortlessly into your orbit, not because you earned it by striving, but because you remained aligned by faith. You kept walking in truth even when the path twisted. You kept praying when the atmosphere was heavy. You refused to compromise, and now I'm rewarding your posture with placement. Not just placement in opportunity, placement in purpose. I'm putting you in rooms where your presence carries weight. I'm opening doors that no amount of networking could have achieved. I'm aligning hearts to favor you not out of obligation, but because they are being stirred by my spirit. And when this alignment starts to unfold, don't be surprised if it happens quickly. There are things I'm bringing together that have been in motion long before you noticed. You'll begin to see rapid clarity, unexpected invitations, sudden releases. But don't panic. This is me. You're not behind. You're exactly where you need to be. And I am accelerating what once seemed stalled. What others thought passed you by is now circling back under my command. This is not recovery. It's redemption. And when I redeem, I restore with interest. The time, energy, trust, and effort that felt like they disappeared into empty space are now returning multiplied. This alignment will feel like rest, not strain. It will carry peace, not pressure. Because I'm not calling you into chaos. I'm bringing you into congruence, where your purpose, your preparation, and my perfect timing collide. This is when things begin to make sense. Not just in your heart, but in your reality. You'll see why the detours were necessary. You'll understand why I closed some doors without explanation. You'll look back and realize, had those earlier paths worked, you would have missed the one I designed specifically for you. And now, no one can block it. No circumstance can reverse it. This alignment is not fragile. It is firm. I have already spoken over it. I have already assigned the favor that will accompany it. and I will not allow anything to uproot what I've established. So walk boldly into it. Don't second-guess what I'm doing. Don't shrink when the opportunity arrives. Don't disqualify yourself out of habit. I chose you. I called you. I aligned this for you. This is not random. This is not luck. This is the fulfillment of what I promised, tailor-made for your life. Everything that felt scattered will now begin to move in sync. Everything that felt paused will begin to play in perfect timing. You won't have to manufacture it. Just step into it. I'm aligning it now. There is a moment when waiting shifts from being a test to becoming the foundation for fulfillment. That moment has arrived. For so long, it felt like the things you hoped for stayed just outside your reach, always near, but never quite arriving. You watched others receive what you prayed for, celebrated victories that were not your own, and smiled through seasons where it felt like your name had been left off every list of answered prayers. But here's what you didn't see. Every delay, every pause, every silent interval was working something far deeper than you could measure. I wasn't just preparing what you asked for. I was preparing you to carry it without compromise. And now that the refining has completed its work, the promise I authored, for you, is being released with precision. It's not coming vaguely. It's not arriving in confusion. It will come with clarity, with unmistakable alignment, with a sense of certainty so strong, you won't question if it's me. You'll know it is. A fulfillment that's on its way isn't random or rushed. It's exact. And it knows exactly where to find you. Even if you feel hidden. Even if you feel behind. Even if you feel like you missed your moment. You haven't. The moment is catching up to you. Because what I have for you is marked. Marked by grace. Marked by favor. Marked by timing that cannot be manipulated or interfered with. And no one can take what's been designated for you. I've carved your name into this blessing. No detour, no betrayal, no season of obscurity could cancel it. And now, you will begin to witness its manifestation. Not all at once, but in waves, wave after wave of divine movement that reveals I never forgot what I whispered to your spirit. You may have forgotten the exact details, but I didn't. You may have stopped praying for it out of fatigue, but I didn't stop working on it. And now, I'm activating what hath been waiting in storage. What was parked is now in motion. What was pending is now approved. And it will begin to show up in ways that look natural to others, but you will know, this was supernatural. This was God. I'm sending connections that feel divinely timed. I'm placing solutions in front of problems that have existed too long. I'm restoring timelines that you thought were lost. You don't need to chase it. You don't need to force it. This blessing knows exactly how to reach you, because I assigned it long ago. You just needed to stay in place long enough to receive it. You may not realize how many times you almost left, how many times discouragement tried to make you walk away. But every time you stayed, even when it hurt, you were anchoring yourself to the promise. And now, because you remained, the reward is moving in your direction. This is not karma. This is not compensation. This is covenant. I made a promise, and I always finish what I start. Even when others forgot, I remembered. Even when you lost your strength, I carried you forward. And now the arrival is not just about blessing you, it's about validating the quiet strength that kept you standing. People will be amazed at how sudden it looks. But you'll know it wasn't sudden. It was sacred. It was built in the dark. It was shaped in the silence. And now it's stepping into the light. You don't need to rehearse what to say when it comes. Just open your heart. Be present. Welcome it with joy. Because the promise isn't showing up to tease you. It's showing up to stay. It's not temporary. It's not fragile. It's firm. It's here. And it's yours. You've grown accustomed to striving, to pushing through resistance, to forcing progress when it felt like nothing was cooperating with your intention. You've learned how to survive through grit, how to keep walking when the road was full of obstacles, and how to move forward without visible support. But what I'm doing now in your life will not look like what you've been used to. This next transition isn't coming by your effort. It's coming by my hand. It will not require the same exhausting pace, the same level of resistance, or the constant proving of your worth. I'm lifting the weight that has drained your energy and replacing it with momentum that comes from my favor. Not manufactured progress, but divine flow. What I'm unlocking doesn't need to be forced open, because I've already turned the key. The opportunity, the resources, the alignment, it's already in motion, and your part is simply to move in rhythm with me. You've spent seasons fighting through opposition, but now I'm calling you into rest-driven movement. That doesn't mean inactivity. It means motion led by peace instead of pressure. You'll notice that doors begin to open without your hands even touching them. Conversations will turn unexpectedly in your favor. People will offer help you never asked for. Things you thought would take years will happen in moments. And when it does, don't feel guilty for how easy it feels. That's not a mistake. That's what happens when heaven breathes on your journey. You've learned how to walk through the fire. Now I'm teaching you how to walk through the favor. Not everyone will understand this ease you're about to experience, but you'll know it's not ease without purpose. It's not ease without preparation. It's the reward of obedience. You didn't cut corners. You didn't compromise. You didn't manipulate outcomes. You waited. You trusted. You stayed loyal when you had every reason to abandon your post. And now, I'm responding not just with blessing but with relief. There is a peace coming over you that will mark this season differently from anything you've known before. You'll still move, but it will feel like you're being carried. You'll still build, but the tools will be in your hand before you even ask. You'll still step out, but it won't feel like a gamble. It will feel like agreement. Because what I'm releasing now isn't about proving anything. It's about fulfilling everything. I want you to get used to this new way of walking, not with stress, but with steady confidence. I'm reversing the pattern of hard access and opening up streams that flow consistently. These will be days where provision comes before the problem even forms, where wisdom arrives before the decision must be made, where answers greet you before the questions have time to take root. I've gone ahead of you and smoothed the terrain. I've already assigned angels to clear the resistance. I've already designated the spaces where your voice will be heard without opposition. This is not about hustle. It's about harmony. You've done the hard work of remaining faithful when nothing made sense. Now you'll do the holy work of receiving with open hands and quiet strength. Do not apologize when it starts to look easier. That's my gift. That's my wind behind your steps. I'm placing oil on the path ahead, and the friction that once slowed you down will no longer grip your feet. You're stepping into fluid favor, into motion without chaos, into grace without exhaustion. It's your time. Not by might, not by striving, not by performance, but by my spirit. And it begins now. There is a reason why your story had to be shaped in shadows for a while. I was not only forming the outcome, I was arranging the eyes that would witness it. The shift you're stepping into is not just for your benefit. It's a divine unveiling meant to reveal my hand through your life to those who doubted, dismissed, or distanced themselves during your waiting season. You see, I don't just orchestrate fulfillment for private satisfaction. I assign it for public impact. I've chosen specific people to stand nearby when your promise unfolds, not for the sake of spectacle, but to awaken faith in hearts that have grown dull. There are some who thought they understood your limits, who placed ceilings above you based on what they could perceive. But what I'm about to do will dismantle every box they placed you in. And they won't be able to deny it, because they'll be standing close enough to see the glory that surrounds you. Some of them were not even enemies. They were simply aware of the depth of what I placed inside you. And now, as I bring it into view, they will not just observe it. They will be moved by it. Their perception of me will change because of what I release through you. Your elevation isn't random. It's a tool I'm using to stir conviction, to remind others that I still raise the lowly, that I still fulfill promises that seem impossible, that I still pour out purpose on the ones the world overlooks. And there are even some who watched you fall and assumed that was the end of your influence. But I've allowed them to remain nearby, not to shame them, but to show them restoration. When they see the strength you now walk in, when they hear the clarity with which you speak, when they witness the joy that was once buried under grief, they'll know something beyond human understanding brought you back. And that something is me. I'm not doing this to make you superior. I'm doing it to make myself visible. Through your comeback, through your quiet rise, through the beauty that emerges from what was broken, I am preaching a message without words. So don't be alarmed when you notice certain people circling back into your life just before the next door opens. It's not a mistake. I've drawn them in to observe the unfolding. Some of them left because they couldn't see what I was doing. Others stayed but quietly doubted your direction. Regardless, I'm about to remove all uncertainty. What I'm birthing in you now won't need to be explained. It will be evident. And those who are positioned to watch will also be given a chance to believe again. This is redemption not just for your path, but for theirs too. Your miracle is going to ripple into their awareness. Your restoration will touch places in them that have been dormant. That's why I had to wait for the right moment, so that what I reveal in you will also serve as a revelation for them. I've seen your humility. I know you didn't ask for recognition. That's what qualifies you. And because your heart stayed bowed when no one clapped, I can now lift you up in a way that glorifies me. Not performance, presence, low attention, anointing. I'm setting the stage, not for a spotlight, but for a sign. You are the living proof that my timing is exact, that my mercy is deep, and that my promises are not empty. And I will use your life to echo that truth far beyond your own reach. So don't be surprised by who shows up. Don't be anxious about how it will all unfold. Just keep your focus on me. I'm not just releasing the breakthrough. I'm unveiling it before those who need to see it. Because this isn't just about you rising. It's about me being revealed through your rise. Amen.